I want to talk about something so important. I just don't think that it gets enough time and attention when we're thinking about nurturing our target audiences or the target audiences of the clients that we serve, and that is trust. So trust is extremely important, and I'm going to dive into some reasons why that is. Do you mind if I tell you a story right now? Awesome. I love a good story. So when I was in college, I lived 3 hours away from my home in a small little Dutch town in Iowa called Orange City. And I met people from all over the United States. And one of my roommates lived just an hour away. She was from a small town an hour away. And we knew each other for months. We ate lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We lived just down the hall from each other. We shared some classes, hung out after class, all of the, like, I would have said that we knew each other really well, but we didn't know each other as well as I thought. And I found that out one day when she turned and looked at me and said, "I didn't know you grew up on a farm." And I kind of just blinked at her because it wasn't like it was a big secret. And I said, yeah, I've lived on a farm my whole life. And she said, "But you don't look like a farm girl." Okay. Oh, thanks. Like, I wasn't sure how to respond to that. I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. And so I asked her, "What's somebody who grew up on a farm supposed to look like?" And she said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, you don't walk around wearing overalls and stuff all the time." And I just had to laugh because I said, "Well, I mean, you can wear overalls if you live on a farm, but you don't have to." Thanks, I think. And eventually I convinced her to come home and visit the farm with me. And she was able to see where I lived and how I grew up. And we had known each other for months. And it blew me away that somehow in the course of our conversations, I had never mentioned that I lived on a farm. And from what she knew of me in the first few months of our sophomore year, she had no idea that I grew up on a farm. Her perception of what a farm girl looked like, acted like, talked like, dressed like was very different than my reality. So whose fault was it that she didn't know I grew up on a farm? Well, it wasn't her fault. She was just operating off of the information that I had given her. If she had misperceptions about growing up on a farm or what that looked like for me, it wasn't her fault. It was mine, right? And I think it's so easy for us to fall into that trap with our target audiences. They have misperceptions and preconceived notions about the offers that we write for. And if we're not there understanding what those are and working to break them down and share the truth with them, then whose fault is it that the misperceptions exist? It's ours, right? So I want to talk a little bit today about building trust and some strategies that help build trust so that those misperceptions don't stand in the way of purchase for our clients and for our own offers. So let's talk a little bit about trust. So personal friendships aren't the only types of relationships where trust is a necessary component. Any relationship really that's healthy needs to have trust. Even business relationships are positively impacted by connecting and sharing about your life. And one of the most impactful ways a person can do that is with their ideal clients and customers. When we reach out to them and we create those nurture connections, trust is built and that foundation becomes strong. Yet so often I see business owners and entrepreneurs holding back and keeping things strictly professional, as if that's the best way to do it. Just play it safe, keep things on business only, and personal stuff is only for friends and family, right? Well, this couldn't be further from the truth. You can do it that way. Do I recommend it? No way, for sure not. It's so important to nurture trust between you and the people that you serve in your business. Not only does it make a huge difference in the quality of your professional relationships, it can make a big difference in terms of your bottom line and sales too. So I'm going to give you 4 ways to build trust with your target audience today. They don't require anything besides a little time and energy. These are completely free, and they're going to help you grow trust so that you can be there and break down those misconceptions and remove anything that stands in the way of purchase for your ideal clients and customers. Let me pop over to Facebook now and just make sure nobody has any questions this morning. Good morning, Nin. Good morning, Brad. Good morning, Ashley. It's good to see you guys. It's good to be back in full swing this week after having COVID for a couple of weeks. All right, so let's dive in. So the 4 ways to build trust with your target audience are: show up, be open, tell your story, and mirror their pain. So I'm going to break each of these down and give you some easy ways to implement those in the copy that you write. Putting these to work in your business, in the copy that you write, will help you stand out from the competition and reach the people that you want to serve authentically. All right, so first of all, show up where your audience is. If I had $1 for every time a client said to me, I don't understand why it's not working. I'm running ads. I have a funnel. My offer is good. Why isn't this going faster? Why isn't it converting higher? Why am I not getting more sales and more results now like I thought I would? If I had $1, I'd have a lot of dollars. It's not enough to just make an offer, throw some money at it, and think that people will automatically be blown away and buy. It's rarely, if ever, that quick and easy. And you know what? One of the first questions I ask a new client when they say something like this, I ask them if they're showing up for their audience. Do you have a social platform that you're active on? Are you going where your ideal clients and customers are and providing value? Do they recognize you? Are you known in the space for what you want to be considered an expert for? If you're not, it's going to cost more. It's going to take longer. And I mean, everyone needs to start somewhere. But if you haven't started, you start yesterday. You know what I mean? So the truth is, people don't buy something that they don't know about from somebody that they have never heard of. No matter how amazing the offer is, it's going to be harder to get people to buy if there's no presence behind it, if there's no relationship, no outreach, no value underneath it in terms of their social platforms or how they're showing up. It's going to be really, really hard. It's all part of the process, and showing up is so important. So like I said, you don't have to spend a ton of money to show up. You can start small. Email them. Go live regularly in your Facebook page or in your Facebook group. Make sure your social profiles and website copy is optimized to clearly explain what you do. Create some free lead magnets that show what you do and give value to your target audience. If you're not showing up for them, you can't expect them to show up for you. All right, so number 2, the second way that you can grow trust with your target audience is to be open. So I'm not saying you should start oversharing everything, right? Don't just let it all hang out, but you can still be personal while being professional, right? So this is a lesson I learned during my time as a network marketer. Yes, I was part of a pyramid scheme, and you know what? I was actually pretty good at it. I sold Jamberry nail wraps, which were like little vinyl nail stickers, and they came in all kinds of colors and patterns and styles. And I was, pretty good at it, even though at that time, I did not consider myself an expert in sales at all. I would have said, no, I hate selling. No, thanks. But I sold a lot of those little guys. And you want to know why? It was simply because I got excited about what I was doing and I shared it with my friends and family members. That's it. People who had never heard about Jamberry nail wraps were buying them just because I was talking about it, just because I was showing up and being excited. And I get it. Selling can be awkward. I think the first time you start putting offers out there, it feels uncomfortable. It feels cringy. Sometimes it can just feel really, really salesy. But guess what? It gets easier as you go. All you have to do to get started is just be willing to be open and talk to people about what you do. So create a post on your profile talking about something, a win that you got for a client this week. Go live in your Facebook group and share a story about a client campaign that you've been working on. Or even just talk about how you had the idea to start a business in the first place. Just be willing to share about what you do. I promise you it's effective. Hands down, people buy from people, but they won't buy if they don't know what you are offering. Okay? So be open about what you do and what you offer. People don't mind. All right, number 3. The third thing that you can do to grow and nurture trust, and this is maybe my favorite one, is to tell a story. So one of the most caring things you can do for your target audience is to share your story with them. Invite them to get to know you as a person, because they don't get that kind of treatment with, the corporate brands or the big companies. When you can stand out and show up as a person and let them into your life a little bit, it really makes a difference. So this is especially important when it comes to warming people up who are less familiar with who you are and what you do. So cold audience outreach storytelling is key. Nothing creates connection like a relatable story. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be sad. There's no right or wrong way to do it necessarily, because each piece of your story is important. That one thing that you share might be the thing that makes a difference for someone else. You might not think much of it, but it could mean the world to one of your target audience members. So telling your story, attaching your story to it can mean the difference between fading into the background or standing out in a saturated market. I know that not everyone finds it easy to share their story or to tell a story, but it doesn't have to be hard. Again, you can start small. You can just share about something you did today. And there's a million things. I'm convinced anything can become a story. So here's a few ideas for you. Why you decided to start your business. What you love most about your business. Your favorite vacation. You could tell a story about your favorite vacation, the biggest challenge you've ever faced in your business, your most embarrassing moment, an achievement you're proud of, how your life changed because of your business, a mistake you've made and how you learned from it, what you learned from it, how you grew, a childhood lesson that has made an impression on you, your favorite day of the week, your favorite snack food. I mean, it can be a story about your pet. I had a fluffy cat. People loved stories about my fluffy cat. So you can start small. Anything can be turned into a story. And sometimes the hardest part is just getting started. So I challenge you today, tell a story, whether it's in a post or a video or in your email. Tell a story today somewhere. Show up, be open about what you do, tell a story somewhere. And there's one more strategy I want to share with you today, and that is to mirror their pain. So this one's a little bit different, right? This one goes a little bit deeper. There's something so powerful for people when they feel heard and understood. Have you ever met someone and it was just like everything they said struck a nerve, but in a good way? Like you knew that they had walked a mile in your shoes and they understood what it was like to go through what you're going through right now. That kind of factor is so attractive for people. And your target audience is looking for that. They're looking for a place where they feel heard and known and understood. And mirroring their pain is one way that you can do that. So let me tell you a little bit about what I mean. Let me tell you a little bit about what I don't mean with this. I don't mean Debbie Downer, shame, guilt, blame, heavy sales, none of that. I am not into that. What I simply mean is coming alongside them and let them know that you understand what they've been trying in order to solve their problem and that you're here to help. So let's say you're a weight loss coach and you know that women in your target audience are struggling with weight loss around their midsection once they reach the ages of, the early to mid 50s. And you want to come alongside them and let them know that you understand that their hormones are wreaking havoc with their bodies right now, and that you have a solution in the supplement product that you sell. Now, you're not going to be able to reach them as effectively if you just shove the product in front of them and say, here, you need this. Whereas if you dialed it back and said, when I turned 50, it was suddenly so much harder to maintain my weight. I felt like no matter what diet I tried or what fitness program I joined, my midsection just kept growing that spare tire. I wasn't sleeping well. I was having night sweats, and I had these cravings that were insane. And then I discovered that at that age, my hormones, my estrogen production level was going way down. And if I didn't help my body make up that hormone production, my body was in chaos. Of course, I was gaining weight. Of course, I was bloated. Of course, I wasn't sleeping well. My body wasn't producing the right amount of hormones. And so I worked together with scientists and blah, 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 blah. So you can see, like, I am mirroring the same symptoms that they're having. I'm mirroring the same thoughts that they're having, the same feelings that they're having. And when they start hearing those things, they're going to be willing to hear more about the solution you offer. Present that first, then present the solution, and your results will be so much better. On the other hand, one of the biggest ways to alienate your target audience is to make them feel like a commodity, or to pretend like you have it all together and they're the only ones with the problem. So it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be honest, and really dialing in and mirroring back to them the experience that they're having, the feelings that they're going through, the things that they're thinking is super powerful, helps them feel heard and understood, and it really grows trust. Who wants perfection anyway, right? We might hold ourselves to that standard, but I promise you, your target audience doesn't care. Perfection is too perfect. No one can live up to that. And it's really, really hard to be relatable if you're holding yourself up here to a standard that no one can achieve and refusing to let anyone see sweat. You know what I mean? You don't need to be afraid to come alongside your audience and say something like, hey, I've been where you are. I know how it feels to struggle with what you're going through right now. I know because I've been through it too. I discovered something really awesome that's made a huge difference in my life. Would you like to hear about it? When you present it that way, 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be yes. And then everyone wins. So I hope that those 4 strategies for growing trust with your target audience were helpful to you. And I just want to reissue that challenge. Be willing to be open today. Go to your social profile and share a story. It can be something as simple as what you ate for breakfast today, and inviting everyone else to comment below what they had for breakfast. Show up as a person, be visible, and people will be more likely to become curious and want to know more about what you sell and what you can do to help them solve the problems that they have. So have a great day, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope the weather is good where you are. And I had cream of wheat for breakfast this morning, just so you know, in case you were curious.